Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. It's 11:1.
Yes.
And so I'm Nikki Watson, and I am here with my friend Tara LaDue, and we did a recording before, and we wanted to do another one and to clarify with the sound and everything. So thank you, Tara, for being here.
Welcome.
And Tara just got out of foot surgery.
Yes.
So we're really excited to have her here and well.
Yeah.
So I'm going to read your bio again quickly. Tara is a social media coach and consultant for spiritual entrepreneurs. She is currently writing her memoir, Came to Believe. She is trained and certified by Doreen Virtue as a certified angel card reader and angel intuitive. Tara provides support and guidance for her clients via her connection with the angels. She is also a Gabby Bernstein Spirit Junkie Masterclass graduate. Residing in Pasadena with her beloved Shih Tzu, Chester Harold, Tara has also been practicing Kundalini Yoga for 9 years, and you'll be doing teacher training in next year.
Yep. Can't wait.
Yeah. Yay. Did Chester hear me talking about him?
No, he's actually at my cousin's. My cousin took him for a week while I recover from surgery because I can't really be going up and down the stairs in my apartment and walking him. So I'll get him back on Saturday, and then my neighbors are going to come over and pick him up and take him for walks and stuff.
Aw, do you miss him?
I miss him so much. I text him every day. I text my cousin and act like it's a conversation with Chester, and I'm like, "Hi, Chester, mommy loves you. You better be a good boy. Stop begging." And she responds to me in his voice.
You should do FaceTime.
Oh, she doesn't have an iPhone. I mean, she's my only family member that doesn't have one, so it's we don't really talk about it.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, so we talked about so much, I feel like, in our last recording, and I wanted to just kind of touch on those a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I guess to sum it up, I feel like what the important part is that we connected through the Spirit Junkie Masterclass this past summer, mm-hmm. and we were sitting in the front row, and we really connected because it's just that intimate type of experience where you leave a different person than you were when you went. And mm-hmm. I think there's such a truth and a vulnerability there. But I really resonated with you because I feel like you are very authentic, and you are just kind of going forward with this journey, and you're very forthright and vulnerable and authentic and very sincere and caring and compassionate. So and I love your work. I love your posts with the angels, and I am working on cultivating my own relationship with angels and just the divine forces that walk with us, and that we don't have to be in fear. So
not alone.
Yes, we're not alone. Thank God. So I know that you talked a little bit about how you moved into this spiritual experience where you fell and you broke your
ankle, yeah.
Your ankle on the beach with your mom, and kind of all that stuff came up. So, maybe just sharing a little bit about how you kind of experience that a little bit, and then kind of how the angels come into play, and, just keeping in mind, what I would really love people to get out of this, the people that are watching, is that we are here for a reason, that we aren't alone, and that we can live from a place. It's not easy, but we can live from a place of conviction and truth and move towards that, and kind of step away from the old paradigm of the inauthenticity.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, like I said before, our last interview was so cut out with the sound, so I'll probably be repeating some of the things I said before, but yeah, I mean, I always knew that somebody had my back growing up. I wasn't really sure about it because of everything happening in my childhood, but I mean, clearly somebody was watching over me. And, we talked about this quote from A Course in Miracles: if you knew who walked beside you on the path that you have chosen, fear would be impossible. And I mean, just saying that, almost makes me want to cry again, because it's so true. And I always just felt somebody was there. And then, when I had that accident on the beach with my mom, I was still kind of discovering what my higher power was. In Al-Anon, where we talk about, finding a power greater than yourself that can restore you to sanity. And I wasn't sure who that higher power was for me, because growing up, I didn't grow up in a religious household. My grandmother was, Catholic, but she never really talked about it with us. I grew up in a school where like a lot of the population was Mormon, or Christian, and I wasn't either. So I didn't really felt like I belonged with any of the girls at school. And so a lot of times I felt like, well, how could God do something like this to someone? How could they put a child through this kind of stuff? And it just didn't seem fair. But then, I started slowly believing in a higher power. At first it was like my first sponsor in Al-Anon. I really looked to her. And then the angels kind of came about like a week before the ankle accident. I, picked up a box of Doreen Virtue's angel cards, and at a bookstore, and I was playing around with them. I had no idea who she was. And then the card that I pulled completely resonated with what I was going through. So I bought the card, started playing around, doing readings with my friends. And then, the girl who helped me on the beach with her husband, they were the only people on the beach. Her name was Angela, which means angel. So I really I actually asked her if she was my Aurora of the Northern Lights, because my psychic told me that was my number one angel, was Aurora of the Northern Lights. And she didn't know who Aurora was. But on the ride home, when she was driving my mom home to my apartment, and I went to the hospital in the ambulance, she asked my mom if my mom believed in angels. So I thought that was a really interesting question to ask somebody that you don't even know when your name is Angela. So that was really cool. And so then as I was recovering from my ankle injury, my friend told me about Doreen Virtue offering a class literally 3 blocks from my apartment, her last certified angel card reading class. And so I couldn't drive at that time, so I was on a knee scooter, and so I scooted 4 blocks to this class, and I had my cast and everything, and I took the class, and it was amazing. I got confidence. I finally met this woman who I had no idea who she was, but she really inspired me. And then I just kind of went from there, and I started reading everything around angels, all of her books, what the different angels do, and what color they represent, and just started really getting into it. And then through that, it's just opened up all these other modalities that I had really no idea about. So it's changed everything for me.
So you do angel card readings, and what are some things that you feel like people walk away with whenever they're in a session with you? Because we can read our own cards, but there's something about an energy that exists when somebody is offering that to you.
Yeah, I think that they just want some guidance. Like, it's when they're not trusting in their own self and their own guides is when they really come to someone else for some validation or some answers. And like, I definitely put in there, like, I am not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not an attorney. I'm not telling you what to do. This is strictly for entertainment value. And this is kind of what the cards say. And when they can hear it from a source outside of themselves, they're already hearing what they already know. They just need to hear it in a different way to put it into action, I guess. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think that they walk away. I mean, sometimes they walk away a little confused because they don't understand what the cards mean, because they really had expectations of what they wanted to hear. And when their expectations aren't met, then they're kind of like frustrated and they don't know what to do with it. But I mean, I always tell them more will be revealed. Like, this may not make sense to you now, but it probably is going to kick you in a couple of months and be like, so that's what that meant when Tara told me this or whatever. So I think that's what they, walk away from with too.
Yeah. So I feel like everybody has a sense of the non-physical presence that's with us, the angels, the divine presence, our guides, or just people that have passed that, you feel that they walk with you. What do you think is the fear that is affiliated with this, kind of like when people start talking about angels? Or, I mean, because when I grew up, like, angels were definitely a good thing, but you didn't necessarily like interact with them necessarily. Like, you weren't taught to like, have this relationship where they like literally, you went back and forth. So how is that changing though? I feel like that's definitely more of the normal now. And how can we help people, connect with that experience?
I mean, well, you just got them saying from your childhood, you were taught this. And so like, I think it's all old childhood beliefs that you were taught about religion or spirituality or whatever. So the way that gets broken down is by finding people like Doreen Virtue or Gabby Bernstein or whatever that can break it down in a way to you that doesn't seem so woo-woo or dark or whatever. I mean, listen, half of my family doesn't even really accept what I do or know what I do, which is totally fine with me because I have other people that do believe in what I believe in. So I think the first thing is, if this is interesting to you at all, that's the first sure sign.
Yeah.
Spend a little more time in this area. And then if you don't have a tribe of people that are supportive or are into this stuff, then you need to find that tribe of people that are going to talk with you about it, which for me was on social media, how I initially found these people who are into what I'm into. So I think if it's at all curious to you, then you're in the right place.
Yeah.
And seeing more and more people come out about it and talk about it. I mean, using their social media platforms to talk about it with with being unapologetic about it, just saying how you feel and not worrying about what other people think is really what's going to inspire other people to follow in that same path.
And you've committed to growing a social media platform with your Instagram, and it's led you into providing a service to spiritual entrepreneurs to help them grow their social media platform.
Yeah.
So if you just want to speak on that a little bit, because your posts are super inspirational. I mean, I've probably mentioned it to at least a couple people. I had a girlfriend of mine reach out to me and I was like, you should follow my friend Tara, just because it's so inspirational.
She's not getting upset when I don't follow back.
No. But so I love that you are reaching out to spiritual entrepreneurs. So if you just want to kind of touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, so I'm writing a book called Came to Believe, a memoir, and I'm submitting it to Hay House in December. And one of the things that they talk about is you have to have a platform. Who is going to read your book? Who is going to pick up what you're putting down? And in order to do that, you have to build a social media platform. So after I went to Angel Intuitive course with Doreen last October, I started building my social media platform from scratch. Like, nobody knew who Tara LaDue was. I mean, people still don't really know who I am either. But literally nobody knew who I was. And so I got on there, and my first post, I posted, "Surrender is not submission" was the post that I posted. And that is something that I got from Al-Anon literature. And I made my own meme. I put it up there, and it got 44 likes, which is like 44 an angel number. Obviously, the angels are all around you, whatever. And 4 is one of my numbers because I'm born on March 4th. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe 44 people like this. I don't even get 4 likes on my personal Instagram, on my post, So I just kind of kept going and trying to build it with authenticity, integrity, love, light, positivity. And I just kept going and going and going. And then, come June, I had, I think, about 7,000 followers, and my friends kept asking me all this advice. How did you do it? How did you build it? What are you doing? What apps are you using? How are you getting followers? You have a great engagement. And so I was just answering all of their questions. And then one of my friends is like, she was here visiting, and she heard me doing the interview with Katie, who's the social media consultant. I was doing an interview with her, and Carrie was in the background. And when the interview was over, she came out and she was like, why aren't you charging people for this? And I'm like, I don't know. I feel like, I should just help people. She's like, no, you got to charge people. So then that next week is when I sent the email out to my email list. This is what I'm doing. I'm helping spiritual entrepreneurs. Specifically, I help with building platforms from scratch. So like, I can help with content creation, but for me, like a lot of these people, like Hay House authors, they already had a following when they got on Instagram. So they probably in their first day got 2,000 followers just because people already knew who they were. But for people like you and me and, everyone, the rest of the world who nobody knows who they are, that's what I can really help with. So it's been really fun. I mean, it's not something that I'm doing full time. I mean, I maybe do like 3 to 7 coaching sessions a week on it. I do have a couple clients that I do their social media ongoing, but it's been fun. I really enjoy it. So it's nice to do something that you love.
So I feel like we're moving quickly because we have so much to say. But so I'm listening to a Tony Robbins CD right now that my husband bought. And so we're kind of trying to do it in tandem. And something that he talks about is action. I mean, he's like, and that's what we talk about in our community. It's like inspired action. Like, it's not about like forcing anything. It's about doing things based on the inspiration. And if you're not feeling inspired, then get inspired and then make a decision from that place. So I wonder if you can touch on that process of where you feel inspiration or you get an itch and you're like, I don't know if I should move forward in this direction. But, you know, if somebody is doing something that maybe they're not happy, or maybe they are curious about this, like, how do you know that it's something you should be doing? Or if it's just, you know, that whole process of like being afraid to try something new, but taking that inspired action step, if you could speak on that.
Yeah, well, fear is the true killer of your dreams. So I would probably take a look at why is it that you're fearful around this? And it's probably a lot of old beliefs. So for me, I just did it, like taking the next indicated action. It doesn't mean quit your job and then go full force as an angel card reader. Like, it's how can you pepper the things in that you love while you're still working your full-time job and having gratitude for the full-time job that's allowing you to transition into your life's purpose. Like Gabby says that. And I really took that to heart. Like, how can you be the light and be what you do in your full-time job without getting too woo-woo on your employer? And then kind of transition into that. And I think, like, the fear thing is tough. You got to learn how to shut down that ego, because that's really what it is. And just believing in yourself and, you know, trusting in your gut and what your guides and angels are telling you. Are you clear in your head so you can even hear the messages that they're telling you? Are you meditating, that sort of thing, so you can be open to receiving those messages? Because if you're getting the itch to do it, like, it's not like fake, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
It's like a true indication that this is something to explore. And, you know, and you may explore it and find out, oh, I like this, but I would like to do it maybe a little bit like this. And so you kind of put a spin on it and you pivot to something else, but at least you've tried something. So, I mean, I would just say, go for it. You know, try it. And again, surround yourself around people that are going to support you. I mean, obviously, you know, I think I wrote in a post, like, you don't want to go to the hardware store for milk. And what that means is you don't want to go to a family member who you know doesn't really like what you're doing and ask them for their support and give them a pitch of what you want to do. You want to go to people that are going to be supportive but objective, you know, and then surround yourself with people like that.
Yeah. So what does a practice look like for you as far as staying connected? And I feel like I'll do things for a certain amount of time. I mean, May Cause Miracles is a nice practice because it's the 40 days. And I think anything, you know, the Kundalini practices are things that you can do for a certain, you're supposed to do them for a certain amount of days. And I feel like in the beginning it was probably 3-4 years ago when I read May Cause Miracles, maybe 3 years ago, I read it and I was like, I was so committed to the routine of it because I needed that so badly. And I feel like we get kind of not sidetracked, but, you know, and not that even that like, oh, we know better. And it's not even like that. It's just that we start kind of just living life and having all these different experiences. So, but there has to be some sort, even if it's just something you say in the morning, like where, you know, from A Course in Miracles, where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say and to whom? You know, what is like a general practice, you know, maybe something that works for you that, and maybe it's not even something that you do every day, but maybe it's just something, a way for you to get connected.
Yeah, so in my phone, this is the first thing, I have a ton of alerts all day long. The first alert is at 9:11 a.m. because 9:11 was my first angel number that I saw all the time. And in there, it pops up every day, and it's an affirmation from Doreen Virtue about my writing. And it says, Dear Archangel Gabriel, thank you for giving me the courage, focus, and the motivation to write. Thank you for helping me hear true divine messages that I can express through word. And then I put the address, I put Hay House's address. You know, that is a way of manifesting and affirming. And then that happens at 9:11. Then at 11:11, I have the May Cause Miracles affirmation that I'm on. Today or tomorrow's forgiveness offers me everything that I want. And then at 1:11, I have my faith statement from Universe Has Your Back. So that plays to me every day. And then I end the day with Wayne Dyer at 9:11. Treat yourself as if you already are what you'd like to become. So like that's one way, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm also doing a 90-day Kundalini meditation. There's Kirtan Kriya, Satanama. So I do that. I also was doing Ekankar, the manifestation mantra meditation for 40 days after Spirit Junkie. I mean, I'm also doing A Course in Miracles, which, by the way, I put A Course in Miracles on the side, to the side for a while, because I'm doing May Cause Miracles. I was reading The Universe Has Your Back, and I'm doing this 90-day Kundalini meditation that I have to do for this class that I'm in. So, like, you can be doing too much. So I put that aside. So, I mean, it's just that, like, starting your day off with something that's going to be motivational, inspirational, and, like, true to your heart, that's going to speak to you.
And do you notice that, because I don't know if this is your personality or not, where it's like it's that perfection tendency, and I noticed that with myself, and it can be a joke, and I can like laugh at myself about it, but then other times I'm real stuck in it, and it's like, oh, I'm not doing enough, right? And it's like we use our spiritual practice against ourselves, like I should be doing this more. I fell off the wagon of my practice, and that's defeating the whole purpose. So I wonder how do you handle that experience if it comes up for you?
Yeah, so something that somebody taught me a while ago is, like, at the end of the night in my journal, I used to write 5 gratefuls. Now I do 10 gratefuls, and I also write 3 things that I did well that day. So it's just a reminder of what you really did accomplish. Like, listen, I've been off of work for a while, and sometimes I go through the day, I'm like, God, I didn't get anything done today, but like I'm healing and I did this and I did this and I did this, but I'm so hard on myself because I know I've got this limited time to get this stuff done. So writing down the did wells every day in your journal is really helpful, because then you can really see on paper what you accomplished. And then the gratefuls just kind of tie it all in, you know?
And do you ever, and those are all, thank you, those are all really good. And they're things that we, will do. And then, it has to resonate with you. But other times it just feels like you're just like, it's not that you're forcing it, but that you're just really like judging yourself about the process. Like I know that I think the Kundalini practices are really good for breaking up a lot of that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's also another saying too, halt, are you hungry, angry, lonely, or tired?
Yes, thank you. Yeah,
if you do any of those things and you're judging yourself, probably you can't pay attention to those judgments. You got to just let those go, because that's your ego definitely talking. So I usually will ask myself those 4 things if I'm getting into self-judgment.
And do you notice yourself having like really, maybe you have like these really insightful moments and you feel really in alignment, and then it feels like you just get blindsided by like the other side, and you're like, why is this triggering me, or why is this bothering me? And it feels like, I know for me, I honor my feelings, and so it's just that whole, and you think that you are moving backwards, and we know that you're not moving backwards, but it feels that way sometimes, where it's like, well, God, I thought I was over this. I thought this was healed.
Yeah.
So, and I know that that's just the human experience, but yeah, I just wondered.
Well, usually when I'm doing that, I'm in comparing mode. So I'm like comparing myself to someone else, of what they accomplished and where I'm at. And, there's another, I can give you a shit ton of sayings. There's another one, compare and despair. Like, so if you're comparing yourself to others and where they're at, it's definitely something to take a look at within inside yourself. And that's usually the only time that I get that way. And I usually will do some writing about it. Like, what's making me feel this way? Why am I, comparing myself to others? And, there's room for all of us, that sort of thing. So, I mean, just for some honesty, that's how I get into that mode.
And so it sounds like the more we build a relationship with ourselves, the more we can learn about ourselves, and we can understand, almost like, and we say that it's the inner child that we're kind of not reparenting, but kind of we're re-helping that inner child. And, speaking of the inner child, my outer child is crying. But whenever we're trying to, soothe our emotions, and, I'm just trying to think about like people that are coming into this, like, maybe new to kind of like this spiritual path, and like just maybe any sort of advice when it comes to being gentle on ourselves. And I didn't know, I had to learn that language. I had to learn that information. I had to learn how to do all this, as I'm sure you did too. And, what are some tips or kind of some things that people can do as they're kind of, this may be a little bit new to them?
I think self-love and self-care. I mean, those are really the cornerstones to getting yourself through this, because if you have both of those things, you really get out of the ego and the fear and the judgment and all that sort of stuff. And like, you're on your own path. Like, you're going to go at your own way and pace. There's no hurry. You never graduate from spirituality and like become, and what they call that, Marianne Williamson says, like, no one ever reaches consciousness, or
is not enlightenment.
Yeah, enlightenment. Yeah, okay. Like, she doesn't know anyone who has reached true enlightenment. So it's like, it's going to be a daily thing, and those struggles that you have are an awesome opportunity to learn. Like, when you're uncomfortable, you learn the most about yourself when you're uncomfortable. So, I mean, that's good, because that means you're pushing yourself. I wouldn't try not to let it get yourself upset about it. And when you find yourself getting there, what are you doing to take time out for yourself today? And then to do a practice of self-care or self-love.
Yeah. And people that don't have a spiritual community necessarily with them, like, just going online and reaching and kind of connecting with people online. I mean, I know that that's how I felt with the Spirit Junkie community. Like, they've given me permission to, I've made the decision to step in a little bit more, and I feel like everybody just shares their story so authentically. So, online is a good way to connect with like-minded people.
Yeah, for sure. I like I said, it was so crazy. Like, when I got home from my surgery, there was a huge bouquet of flower arrangement. I mean, it was literally like 4 feet off the ground, and it was on my doorstep. And I was like, who sent this to me? I'm sure it's not anyone in my family, and it was like two people that I met online through Instagram, through hashtagging, and how they found me. And one of them has come to visit me in person, Carrie, and Chayla, I talk to on the phone every day. Like, and they pitched together to get me these flowers. Like, so, I mean, it just shows you how strong and powerful social media can really be in such a positive and profound way. Like, people can use it in ways that aren't so full of light and love, but you can really choose your community on social media. You have the choice of who you're going to surround yourself with through hashtags, people you follow, other spiritual teachers and what they're teaching. So it's so amazing, this whole social media thing.
And yes, and and then you can like unfollow people. I think that's important to like take people off of your newsfeed if they don't. Yeah. I think you kind of go through a kind of a process where you're like, this doesn't really resonate with me, and then you kind of like give them the benefit of the doubt. But then like you can just go visit them whenever you feel ready to. Like, you don't have to be bombarded with their messages all the time.
Yeah, you can do a little house cleaning on social media. I'm about ready to do that soon, because I really I got into a bad habit of just following everybody back who followed me in the beginning. And when I'm going through my news feed, I'm like, wow, I'm seeing a lot of weed pipes and posts about smoking pot, and which, I understand it's a natural drug, people do it, but it's not something that I really want to see on my news feed. Or other things, with guns or whatever. And I'm like, okay. So I did clean up once of it, and it's time to probably do it again. So yeah, I mean, you have that choice, right?
So, so I guess I'll just ask you a couple more questions here as we're going to try and keep it wrapped up. But, so do you bring in, because I feel like the deeper I go, the more protection I ask for. But I also feel like something that I have been resonating with is like, things are going to get more intense, but we will receive more help. Mm-hmm. So we're always Archangel Michael is a big one, and I've been calling him in with his light and everything. And if you could just talk about him and his light, or if that's something that you incorporate into your day.
Yeah, if I know So like, when I went back to work for 6 weeks briefly, like every morning before I went to work, I called on Archangel Michael to surround me with his protective light to shield me from negativity, so that's probably something that we could all do every day. And then also you can use him to cut cords as well. Like, so maybe somebody really did suck the life out of you and you want to cut your cords from this person, you can call on him as well. But a lot of times, I'll admit I forget about the angels and calling them on for their things that they're good at, and I have to remind myself because I think that I can do it all myself. And that's my ego telling me that. You just bringing it up is a great reminder, like I'm about ready to go out and do an errand and I'm like, oh, I should totally call on Archangel Michael to protect me. So it's just kind of remembering it and using them. Like you can never use them too much. Like they're not like, oh, Nikki already called me 3 times this week to help her, so I'm not going to help her because I'm going to go over and help someone else. Like their help is unlimited as long as you have free will to allow them to help you. So, exercising free will.
And today is Gabby's birthday, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Gabby. And also today is All Saints Day.
Oh, you know what? Wait, I saw Doreen post about that. Actually, today is a vegetarian day too, or something like that.
All the good days.
Yeah.
So, do you work with any saints, or do any saints resonate with you?
No, I'm more into the angels. I know Saint Christopher, I would say would probably be the main one, only because my mom has worn a Saint Christopher charm on her necklace my entire life. Like, I know that that's something I'm going to get when she passes on. And my grandmother prayed to him a lot. Mother Mary, I would say, I don't know if she's a saint. Like, I'm not really familiar with Catholic religion.
Right. No, that's right.
Like Mother Mary, I said she's an ascended master, maybe. She's more who I resonate with. And because of that, it's all childhood stuff. My grandmother used to have Mother Mary Madonna statue lamp on the side of her bed. And that was given to me when she passed. And unfortunately, 2 months ago, it broke. And it broke my heart. But I saved all of the pieces of that lamp and put it in a bowl. I just don't have the heart to throw it away. And the only thing that was kept on that whole lamp was her praying hands. That's what get shattered. Yeah. So I was like, oh my gosh. So I saved it. It's all in a bowl beside my bed. But it's an old lamp. It's from like the 1800s. And I was so devastated. But yeah, I would say, Mother Mary, St. Christopher.
It's where it belongs. Mother Mary is where it belongs. That's where you need it. And,
it's in a bowl on the side of my bed.
Yeah. Aw. And St. Christopher, I put him on my husband's motorcycle key because he's the saint of travel.
Yeah, a lot of people have them in their car. My grandmother had one always hanging in her Buick.
Yeah.
She always had a Buick, and it was hanging in the rear view mirror thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like when you fly, they have the plane and the boat and all that on his crest. But
yeah.
Well, we have just like a couple minutes here. But is there anything else you wanted to share about like anything in general about something, maybe what's next for you or what you would like to see or the vision that you're holding or, or whatever?
Yeah. So like what's next for me is I'm going to Spirit Junkie Masterclass level 2. Yeah, I got my Spirit Junkie t-shirt on. I don't know if you can see it.
I can. Yes.
And so I have that, and then I am going to be turning in my book proposal in December, and then hopefully, I will win the Hay House contract, and I'll be a Hay House author come end January is when they announce it. I'll be doing Kundalini Teacher Training level 1 in January. I want to continue doing the social media coaching and the angel card reading. Like, I never would have thought like the angel card reading would turn into the social media coaching, but it really does go hand in hand with each other. A lot of my clients are crossovers, they're the same. So, kind of more of the same, but a little different, and just being open to whatever the universe has to give me. Like, I'm not totally set on just doing these things. So I think it's about being open and, more will be revealed to me.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes. Unattached.
Yes. No, don't have expectations, because expectations are premeditative resentments.
Yeah.
You just have to know that even though things aren't happening the way that you wanted them to, they're happening exactly how they're supposed to. So,
thank
prime
you.
example is my feet. you know, going through all this feet stuff for the last 2 years. It's not how I wanted it, but because of it, I've been able to do so much. So, yeah. Oh, Nikki, I love you.
Thank you. I love you too. I'm so glad we did this. I'm so glad it worked.
Yay. Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.